Is someone trying to provoke Russia into using tactical nuclear weapons against Ukraine? Michael Snyder reports. When you're standing on the brink of the unthinkable, it can be way too easy for someone to come along and push you over the edge. I don't know who just attacked the Kremlin with drones, but it was obviously done for a reason. Whoever did it knew, or should have known, that the Russians would strike back really hard. Just imagine how we would feel if there were explosions at the White House. Russian leaders are extremely angry, and some of them are openly talking about using tactical nuclear weapons against Ukraine. But if that happens, our world could be completely turned upside down. The Biden administration has hinted that the U.S. could use tactical nuclear weapons against Russian forces if the Russians use tactical nukes against Ukraine, so let's hope that cooler heads will prevail. Because once the nukes start flying, there is no turning back. I really wish that this assault on the Kremlin had not happened. Russian leaders are framing this as, quote, an attempt on President Vladimir Putin's life, end quote. The Russian presidential administration said Wednesday that the Kremlin was attacked by drones overnight in an attempt on President Vladimir Putin's life. Moscow residents had reported hearing 2 explosions behind Kremlin walls shortly after 2 a.m. local time, after which the lights went out. Footage shared by residents in a local Telegram channel captured the incident, as smoke was seen filling the sky above the Kremlin. Videos also appear to show part of the Kremlin on fire. So who was responsible for doing this? Could it have been a false flag by the Russians themselves? That's certainly possible. Both sides in this conflict are more than capable of conducting false flag attacks. But it also certainly is possible that Ukrainians are behind this. They have been using drones to strike other targets deep inside Russia, and the Washington Post had previously reported that Ukrainian officials had discussed attacking Moscow. Last month, the Washington Post reported that the United States had secretly monitored discussions among Ukrainian officials about possible attacks against Moscow, timed to coincide with the February 24 anniversary of Russia's invasion. The White House feared that such a move would provoke an aggressive response from Moscow, and 2 days before the anniversary, the CIA said that Ukraine's intelligence directorate had agreed at Washington's request to postpone strikes on Moscow. The information was part of a trove of classified U.S. intelligence documents obtained by the Post and other news organizations. When he was asked about the attacks, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky flatly denied that his government was involved. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday denied Moscow's claims that Kiev had attempted to assassinate Russian President Vladimir Putin after Russia said 2 drones were shot down at the Kremlin. We did not attack Putin. We leave it to the tribunal. We fight on our territory. We are defending our villages and cities, Zelensky told reporters at a joint press conference with Nordic leaders in Helsinki. Maybe he's telling the truth. I don't know. We should also not rule out the possibility that some third party is trying to provoke Russia into using tactical nukes against Ukraine because they know that the U.S. would likely respond by using tactical nukes against Russian forces. There are certainly many interesting parties that would love to see an apocalyptic conflict between the United States and Russia. But no matter who did this, the end result is that Russian leaders are absolutely furious. In fact, Dmitry Medvedev is publicly calling for, quote, the physical elimination of Zelensky and his cabal, end quote. Russia's ex-president Dmitry Medvedev on Wednesday called for the physical elimination, quote unquote, of Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky after Moscow accused Kiev of a drone attack on the Kremlin aimed at assassinating Vladimir Putin. After today's terrorist attack, there are no options left aside the physical elimination of Zelensky and his cabal, said Medvedev, who has been increasingly hawkish since Moscow's Ukraine offensive. Other prominent Russian leaders are issuing extremely urgent statements as well. Pro-Putin Just Russia Party leader Sergei Mironov added, this is a very real casus belli, that is a case for war, a pretext for war. He urged that liquidation of Ukraine's terrorist top brass, we have something to hit their bunkers with, he says. Senior politician Alexei Zhuravlev urged it's necessary to target the center of Kiev. Destroy the president's office, destroy the ground, the Ukrainian parliament, the general staff, the buildings, the houses, Ukraine special services, etc. PM Mikhail Shermet said, it's time to launch a strike on Zelensky's residence in Kiev, he said. If the Russians do take out Zelensky, that will take this war to a very dangerous new level. And if they actually decide to use tactical nukes against Ukraine, the Biden administration would be under a tremendous amount of pressure to hit the Russians back. This is such a critical moment in our history that Joe Biden will be the one making the final decision on our end. Needless to say, that thought should not bring comfort to any of us. Of course, the U.S. military is not exactly prepared for an apocalyptic conflict with Russia. Instead, our military has been focusing on other things. The U.S. Navy invited an active-duty drag queen to the to be a digital ambassador as part of a recent drive to attract the most talented and diverse workforce and combat plunging recruitment. Yeoman Second-Class Joshua Kelly, who identifies as non-binary, was appointed as the first of 5 Navy digital ambassadors in a pilot program that ran from October to March. Kelly, whose stage name is Harpy Daniels, has shared their journey on TikTok and Instagram, and describing how they began performing on board, became an advocate for people who were oppressed for years in the service. In a battle of political correctness, we would beat the Russians hands down. But that is not the way that real wars are won. Of course, most Americans do not want a war with Russia at all. Most Americans just want to work hard and raise their families. Unfortunately, our leaders have just kept pushing us closer and closer to the unthinkable, and now we are staring down into an abyss of misery and pain. Is it possible that someone just tried to push us over the edge? I don't know. But what I do know is that the Russians are going to hit Ukraine extremely hard, and I'm just hoping that they decide to use some restraint. This is by Michael Snyder. He says about the author, my name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled End Times is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 6 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I've also started a brand new Substack newsletter, and I encourage you to subscribe so you don't miss any of the latest updates. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the most important news. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish articles on their own websites. But I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. This is by Michael Snyder on End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.